Hello, Friday. Hello, Friday. Can you believe it's the last Friday of February? Wow. It just seems like we're a few weeks ago, we are just moments ago sitting here and saying, wow, can you believe January is over? And now this weekend, we're going to be turning the page, and Monday, it's going to be March 1st. If you've been with us for the sessions in February or watched the recordings, you know we talk about how to avoid stinking thinking. Stinking thinking is that negative noise and swirl that goes around in our heads. It's the negative noise and swirl that keeps us from being our best, that keeps us from developing a winning mindset. In the first 3 Fridays of February, we talked about avoiding stinking thinking by the power of a word choice. Rather than saying, I have to do this, say, I get to do this. A simple word choice and the importance of words on our brain, that a word can make a big difference, and choosing a word will make all the difference in the world. Then we moved on to reframing a situation, the power of reframing, how you think about something. You know, the old proverb, you can be sad that rose bushes have thorns, or you can be happy that thorn bushes have roses. Okay, how you look at a situation, reframing is a powerful way to avoid stinking thinking. And if that doesn't work, maybe rebooting our brain. We talked about ways of rebooting through the physical and through the emotional ways of rebooting, like unplugging our computer or our Wi-Fi modem and then plugging it back in, rebooting our brain for being able to um, refresh and move on to productivity, a productive way of thinking, a more positive way of thinking. And then last week, we talked about how biases affect our brain, how simple biases and how we view others and how we judge others can make a big difference in contributing to stinking thinking, and how they just basically only affect us and not the other person. Why choose to let our biases bring us down? We often have biases because we look and say people are different from us. It's our brain trying to protect us. Our brain saying if something is different, it could be a threat. If something is different, it's probably bad. If something is different, it's probably wrong. You know? So people that don't act like us or dress like us or walk like us or talk like us, they're just different. Different doesn't have to be a threat. Different is just different. That's a powerful way to think about overcoming stinking thinking created by simple biases that we have. Today, we're going to talk about 4 new tools, proven tools, that will help put our brain in a positive mindset. Today, I'd like to share 4 proven tools that will help us develop that winning mindset if words or rebooting and reframing or changing our biases doesn't help and we still feel stuck in the stinking thinking. So today I'm going to share 4 tools that can help you if all else fails and the stinking thinking is still creating that negative noise in your head. The first tool is just to connect with someone. Just connect with someone. Social connections are extremely powerful to our brain. Our brains are developed to collaborate with other brains. Our brains develop socially. You can just imagine the caveman telling his cavewoman wife, hey, you go over and distract the dinosaur while I hit him over the head with this club. our brains developed while collaborating with other brains. We have very social brains. And the social aspect of our brains is very powerful in order to help us when we're really struggling. You know, that TV show had the famous line, phone a friend. That really works when you're struggling and having difficulty working through something, even if it's a simple situation. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to risk opening up. Don't be afraid to risk picking up the phone or going to visit or sitting down with somebody over a cup of coffee. Ask somebody, look, I just want you to listen to me for a few minutes as I talk this out. I just want to be able to share my feelings with you. I don't want you to offer any advice. I don't want you to try to judge me or fix me. I just want to talk. Is it okay if we just talk? And the power of opening up and the powerful power of that social connection will really help kickstart your way away from stinking thinking into positive thinking. A second powerful tool that you can use is think about yourself not as the person suffering through this stinking thinking, but the person offering advice to somebody. Now, transfer your stinking thinking to an imaginary friend. And why don't you help them through their stinking thinking? Or better yet, chances are the stinking thinking is rooted in brain maps that were developed maybe even in your childhood. So why don't you think about maybe having a conversation with your younger self, your 10-year-old self, and having a conversation and comforting that younger version of yourself. That aspect of separating yourself from the problem, transferring the problem to your younger self or to an imaginary friend will dampen your limbic system response, will dampen your emotional response, and it will give you more cognitive, rational, thoughtful process for a way to think through clearly how to move past your stinking thinking. And the advice that you might offer your younger self is probably the advice you need for yourself right now. The third most powerful proven tool, a third proven way to, again, separate yourself from the problem and solve the problem by separating yourself from the problem is to think, what would the smartest person I know tell me right now? Or maybe think about another way. What would somebody I really admire, a grandparent, a favorite uncle, the Dalai Lama, what would somebody I really admire or somebody I see is really smart, advice would they give me? Again, by separating yourself from the problem, you dampen your emotional response, you heighten your thoughtful response and your cognitive powers, and you will re-engage the positivity and the powerfulness of your full brain to work through whatever stinking thinking might be haunting you in the moment. And now the fourth proven way is think about writing a letter to your best self. Writing a letter to your best self. Now, your best self has lots of wonderful qualities and attributes, as we've discussed. So, your best self probably has some good advice for you in the moment. And as we've discussed, the absolute potency of taking out a pen and a piece of paper or a pencil and a piece of paper has a tremendous impact on your brain. It engages full sensory use of your brain and helps you re-engage the cognitive prefrontal cortex, re-engage all of your powers of your brain. And as you just start writing that letter to your best self in a stream of consciousness, how you're feeling, how you're thinking, what's bugging you, as you're writing that letter to your best self, then you can maybe uncover an idea that will help you remove yourself from that stinking thinking. Or you'll discover something deeper that's bugging you. And this the stinking thinking is just some noise that's uncovering maybe a more serious issue that you're going to need to grapple with. Either way, it's going to be a benefit. And as you finish the letter and you reread the letter and you think about your best self offering you the advice back and reading that letter and saying, well, think about this, you're going to have some powerful ahas and some powerful insights that will crystallize how you're thinking in the moment, remove some of that negativity and move you towards a positivity. Well, there you have it. 4 additional tools to help when words or rebooting or reframing just aren't enough. They can really help you engage your full brain. As we like to say at the Neuro-Fitness Center, get your brain working for you, not against you. Get all of your brain working for you. Change your thinking, improve your outcomes. So to wrap up this February, we've discussed a lot of potential solutions to avoiding that negative noise and that stinking thinking. If you've been with us on this journey or watching the recordings, I'd like you to think about a brief homework assignment. I'd like you to think about trying to explain stinking thinking to a friend or a colleague or a loved one. Just try to explain the concept of stinking thinking to them. And then give them some clues as to some things that have helped you in your journey to avoid stinking thinking, whether it was the power of word change or rebooting or reframing or one of these tools we discussed today. Share with them the concept and 1 or 2 things that seemed to work for you or resonated with you. That act of sharing will do 2 powerful things. First, it will help cement new powerful positive brain maps for you. Those powerful positive brain maps that you can call upon later when the stinking thinking will come back and creep in. And oh yeah, it will come back and it will creep back in, or at least try to. The second powerful thing it does is you will benefit when the other person graciously accepts the understanding of a new way of thinking, a new mindset, a new powerful mind tool, a new powerful way to deal with maybe something that they're dealing with. And that act of kindness that you're sharing with them and the fact that you may have helped that person as well will be another powerful motivator for you. So that's it. That wraps up our series on stinking thinking. With that, I'll say hello, Friday. Goodbye, February. Many of us have struggled with some really severe weather, and we just can't wait for spring to come here. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, everyone. God bless.